All right, guys, welcome to the reality of Russ. We're back again. Of course, I'm with my beautiful wife, Nikki, and a good friend of mine, Greg. Greg came over for some dinner, and I surprised it on him, like, let's go ahead and do a podcast. And here we are. So, Greg's got a great story, and that's what we like, right? We love the great stories. We're going to try to continue to always bring to you guys the truth. Greg and I have been working together through this program for a few years now, and I've watched him grow and do amazing things. I've got the pleasure to be with him and give him his token. He's got a rough past and a great story, what it used to be like and what it's like today. I'm honored, and I want Greg to go ahead and tell everybody and let introduce him and know who he is.
My name is Greg, and I'm from Tennessee, Nashville,
Sir.
born and raised. And I've been down here in Kentucky for about little over 2 years now. And been in and out of the program. My childhood was like, my mom and dad. Dad was there. My mom raised me. I mean, got three other siblings. Uh, they alcoholics and addicts, except for one of my sisters. She's not. But my family's been drugged and alcohol since I can remember.
Right.
But I came here to Kentucky to get my life in order. Had 16 months clean until I relapsed. Stayed out about a month. Now I'm back in the rooms trying to get my life back in order. I'm a cook, love cooking. That's my hobby. I'm just trying to do the right thing today.
He's a good cook, ladies and gentlemen. He's a very good cook. He likes to post online of his meals that I never get to try. I just get to look at them through a picture. So you came to Kentucky, kind of start over, and you have, and you went very far, man. We've watched you grow from early recovery to getting your own place,
Yeah.
your own vehicle. We've been by your side. We've had countless times here at the house, and we got to get together and just read literature, just eat, and just fellowship amongst ourselves. We've spent a lot of time helping other people, and I think one of Greg's biggest character defects are helping people, and we all do it. And I think the lesson had to be learned within itself, and it did. And sometimes we just got to be mindful of who we help and how we help. And they said, "Don't burn yourself to keep others warm."
Mm.
And I think we do that a lot, and myself included. Greg's working on some things and trying to get back on track. We all do it. Nikki always says sometimes it's a relapse that shoots you into long term recovery. I think that's what it is. We were talking today. There's a meditation that it's in a little Bible that we have, and it basically talks about be mindful of what you do on your spare time, right? What you feed your mind is very very important, and if you're feeding with bad thoughts and thinking patterns and so on and so forth, then pretty much you're doomed, right? Like it's gonna follow. Bad's gonna follow. But if you continue to kind of keep an open mind and fill it with good thoughts and good Bible verses and just positive things, obviously we know positive attracts positive and negative attracts negative. And I think one of the learning lessons we've learned through this is um I think the devil worked on Greg, and we realized that today, and put him in a situation I think where he was helping people, and the people was actually making it worse for him, and he was working more, and then there was less meetings, there was less church, right, and then it was a recipe for disaster. It's bad, being a sponsor because, like, you work with somebody, you have a relationship and you love somebody, and then, you worry and um, I worked with my sponsor, and then he'll call and, Greg figured it out and he called, and man, it's impressive because he jumped right back into it, and that's the one thing that I really look up to him. There was no shame in it. It's consistent meetings. He's doing outpatient IOP, meeting every single day, step work, writing assignments.
Yeah.
It's like we got to get back, man. We got to figure out where it went wrong, right? To not make that same mistake. I talked about it's failing. Like you're not a failure. You just failed at something. Failure is an event, and and if we do fail, we get back up and we try it again, and be thankful of it. Right, the learning lesson. Um, See, you got your book open, my love.
Yeah, and it's kind of about spirituality. For me, the one thing that I was taught in early recovery is that we have a daily reprieve based on our spiritual condition, the maintenance of our spiritual life. And I know for me that if I don't feed myself positive things, like depression can come up real quick and it can spiral me out of control before I even know it. Um, but I got my AA book here. On page 50 in We Agnostics, it says, here are thousands of men and women, worldly indeed. They flatly declare that since they have come to believe in a power greater than themselves to take a certain attitude toward that power and do certain simple things, there has been a revolutionary change in their way of living and thinking. And I came upon this earlier, when we were kind of talking, and when I relapsed, it was because of my spiritual condition, right? I stopped doing the things that worked for me. And I stopped praying. I stopped communicating with my higher power. I stopped going to meetings. I stopped doing all the things that helped keep me sober on a daily basis. And even now, with having as much clean time as I do, I notice that if I don't do my little hour in my chair with my meditation or my big book or the Bible or pray even, like my whole day can be thrown off.
Mm.
And, constantly you ask me like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I tell you nothing. Really, it's probably because I haven't prayed today or I'm starting to get overwhelmed or overstimulated because I haven't took the time to meditate or connect with my higher power, and self starts creeping back in, and then everything gets on my nerves. And so sometimes I have to restart my day 2 or 3 times where I have to just go in my chair, my closet, and be like, all right, God, I'm taking over, but I'm giving it back to you. And I instantly feel better and I can start managing things different and my thought process gets a little slower. But I really like this because it says thousands of men and women, right? And once they started to believe in a power greater than themselves and take simple suggestions and do certain simple things, uh, there's been a revolutionary change in their way of thinking and living. And like that's really what we're trying to do when we stay sober is change our thinking and change our actions, and it's one day at a time, and then those times build up, and it's the same if you don't do it. A guy in a meeting a few years ago used to say, uh 5, 3, 1, and I'm out the door. So he would do 5 meetings a week, and then it would go down to three, and then it would go down to one, and then he would be right back out there doing it again. And it's kind of the same for me when I don't pray or meditate or connect to my higher power. One day becomes two and then three, and then before you know it, picking fights, and you're telling me I need to call my sponsor, and it's just a constant, like it happens so fast you don't even realize it. And for me, if I don't keep up that daily maintenance, I start to lose that defense against the first one. And today, my first thought isn't, I'm going to go get higher drunk. My first thought is, I'm going to pick a fight, or the kids are going to be grounded today because they're getting on my nerves. Like it's different things. But I know that if I continue to let myself go on that way, that a drink might sound good,
Yeah.
or I meet the wrong person trying to flag me down and ask me if I want to test her, and I'll be like, okay. And that's not where I want to get at today. Like I know what my life looks like in the madness, and I don't want to go back to that. I think on the very next page, it says that my worst day in sobriety doesn't beat my best day in the madness. And that's true for me today.
Greg, walk us through. What do you think? What do you think? Like,
She hit all the key notes. I
yeah,
mean, that was me in a nutshell. I stopped going to meetings. Stopped calling my sponsor. I stopped working more. and less meetings, and me having someone stay in my home with me. Temptation was there daily, but then eventually it got the best of me. On one of my worst days, like I said, I wasn't going to meetings and stuff. I wasn't doing things that kept me sober, like reading my Bible every day and going to church. I love going to church, and I got away from all that. And then working, I used that as an excuse to get away, trying to make more money to pay bills. But I can't let that happen today. That's why I enjoy my days off. I'm not trying to go in and read and help nobody at night no more, because my days off and my days off. I need some me time. Yeah. And that's where I lost. That's what I lost last time. I ain't had me no quality time at doing my meetings and stuff. So when I'm back into it now, I'm glad to be back. So I didn't get to lose everything. But normally the man is I lose, let go of everything and just go on out there and just forget everything. But this time I didn't lose nothing. Only by the grace of God. I come to my senses. He set me down and talked to him. But we talk daily. I heard that little birdie in my head telling me, "You keep it up. You keep it up." I mean, he was there. He didn't ever left me. I left him. I'm just glad to be back.
Let me ask you, like, so one of the things that I've been trying to like focus on, when they say there goes self will again, right? So this is the story of like how self will took over.
Yeah.
But the thing about that's scary about it is sometimes I think self will creeps in and we don't even know it.
Yeah.
Right. Like you don't even realize that you're working more. You don't even realize that you're calling every other day. You don't realize that the type of people, you kind of associate is more outside of the rooms than inside the rooms, let's just say, right?
Yeah.
So like was there ever really a point that you kind of realized that, or was it just kind of like when it was, the literature says before you knew it, I was beating at the bar one night, I got drunk again. Is this kind of the case where like all of a sudden you're just like, shoo man, like what did I just do?
Yeah, at the point I mean, I knew what I was doing. I mean, in the back of my mind, I already relapsed, basically, 'cause I knew it was coming,
Yeah.
because I knew me, you know what I mean? But I tried to say that I can beat this. I got this. But it got me. It got the best of me. And that's why I end up using. But on by the grace of God, I didn't stay out there alone. He was still there talking to me daily without still trying to block him out. Then I couldn't do it no more. I see myself going back doing the old me. I took the wheel back and thought I can drive. You know what I mean? But I'm heading straight into that brick wall. But I can't let nobody else stay with me no more. I can't do that no more. No, that I ain't using that as an excuse, but I chose to do what I did. Ain't no excuse for me what I did. But I know ain't nobody staying with me no more. And I can love him from a distance. A guy came over last night, wanted me to borrow loan some money. I said, "You've been on my house one time since I've been here, but now you're gonna come because you want something."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you got your hand out. I said, "I ain't got it for you, brother. I got to learn to say no." That's my problem. Keep saying here, okay, here. But now I got to the point now I can say no. Yeah. Because you haven't been around when you needed when I needed you, but you're only there when you want something.
Mm-hmm.
But I fed them. I fed them. I give you some food, but you don't get no money.
Well, they say that history repeats itself until something differently is done. And in how it works from step three, it says the first requirement, meaning of step three, is that we be convinced that any life ran on self will can hardly be a success, right? And my history shows that when I run on self will, attitude comes back, depression comes back, I'm full of anxiety. But when I can turn that over to God of my understanding and I can plug into that power, everything runs smoothly. I don't create resistance in my life. Anything in my life that God gives me is not forced. It just runs smoothly. Like there's been a few times with our business where things have just fallen into our lap and we're like, okay, God, we hear you. We know this is from you because I didn't have to force anything. I didn't have to lie, steal, or cheat. I didn't have to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's how I know the difference between God's will in my life and when I'm trying to run on self will. Because if I'm trying to manipulate something or I'm trying to not tell the full truth or make anything happen and it creates resistance in my life, it creates fear, it creates, all these negative emotions. And I know that when I can run on God's will, I know that it goes smoothly, and I know that everything is gonna work out how exactly how it's supposed to, right?
Yeah, and that's why I was trying to touch on too, because I think a lot of times, especially you don't realize it because it's small little increments, and it's just little things like, okay, so for instance, we're gonna put him out here, but he's here. Well, Greg called consistently for 2 years straight. I mean, the only sponsee that ever called every single day. Every once in a while, missed a day, but it was if he missed a day at nighttime, he would call first thing in the morning, and I'd have something for him, right? But, it went, like, 2 days, and then it was 3 days, and then 2 days, and then 4 days. Um, so one, let me touch on, like, I think that's the importance of having a sponsor,
Mm.
right? Because we as alcoholics or addicts, I don't think realize when we're working too much, when we're running too much, when our priorities are messed up, right? When you're not going to church, you have somebody, you go, I used to say, you go to church that day? Oh, I had to work. He said, I'm gonna go next week though. I'm gonna go next week.
Mm.
And you can see the little things that change.
Yeah.
And it's important to have somebody in your life that out of love is like, yo, like, you're not calling every day.
Yeah.
And I think with that being said, now as an individual, you can start realizing like, what am I doing? Now, is that going to stop you? If you're already hell bent to destruction, it's
Yeah.
just going to be what it is. But like, if you do get a hold of it, thank God for the people that are in your life to kind of check you on it, like, yo, this is what you're doing. At the same time, God has got a plan. Whatever happens has got to happen for a reason. And a lot of it is somebody's testimony, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people do relapse. People die because of a relapse because they're too ashamed to go back or don't want to start over or don't know how to do it or the just guilt or remove whatever, the whole nine, and they just don't come back. So it's important to see somebody slip and just like grab a hold of it and say, "Hey, man, I messed up. What do I need to do?" When he called, he said, "Well, I guess you heard." I said,
You already know.
"Well, heard what?" He's "I relapsed." I said, "Okay." And he said, "Well," I said, "Well, what now though? Like, what are you gonna do?" Right? Like that's the okay. We could talk about that down, later on a podcast one night, right? But like right now, what are you gonna do? And he's like, what do I need to do? And we started out there, and there was been no turning back. And here he is still. So with what my wife was saying too, even at a point of coming back from a relapse, it's one of the things that I'm learning. The longer I stay sober and the more spiritually fit I get, is I had this realization last week at a meeting. Actually, it was with Greg and my wife, and it was a paradox. That the daily reflection was about the paradox, right? The understanding the paradox and implementing your life and so on and so forth. But like when I really got to Google it and sit there and figure out what is my spiritual paradox, it is um, the more I let go, the stronger I get. And I think no matter what, all the feelings that you have coming back from a relapse or not even that, just whatever, the more you can let go long term, it is the stronger that you get, right? It is the longer you're here. So coming back from a relapse, you let it go and you just do what's in front of you because we know what the end looks like. We know what the solution looks like. But right now, dealing with so much in the moment is not beneficial. It doesn't even matter. Um, and it was great that we sat there, and it was great that I heard that and really looked into it. Today I've got to Google things. Like if I don't understand it, I'll Google or chat GPT everything just to figure it out. It's all there. Everything's there. When we read literature, we use the Everything AA app and we listen to them. We listen to them speak because by the time I'm fumbling the words or he's fumbling the words, I don't forgot what I read from my ADHD, but we're able to listen to it kind of fluently and we'll pause and we'll talk about it. And I never even really realized that, or however it goes. But like we've got to experience together the book literally coming alive, and that's powerful. Um, One of the things my sponsor said to me earlier in my sobriety was, once you finally come to where the AA book comes alive, your life is going to change. We got to experience that. And I think it's all them little things, the strength in the life that you had previously with sobriety, all of the things that you did armed you with enough facts about yourself to when you did slip, You knew what to do and you did it. And I'm proud of that, right? Like, okay, you slipped, now what, right? What are we gonna do now? And that's the biggest thing. Don't hold on, but how are you gonna come back from it?
And I'm very proud of you for coming back. Like, it takes a lot of courage. Today's actually my sister's birthday, and for the ones that don't know, she passed away from an overdose. Um, a few years ago, and the end result of using and drinking is jails, institutions, and death. You're lucky if you get to make it to jail or to an institution to have another chance, because there's a lot of people out here, especially nowadays with like the fentanyl craze and the pandemic of that, and like the stigma of coming back from a relapse. Like, it takes a lot of courage to do that, and a lot of people don't come back from that because they have that fear and that pride and should have knew better, I should have did better. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience of being in the fellowship, right? And you have that unity, and that's why I tell everybody it's so important to build your fellowship, because that is going to be your safety net when you do fall. Like, we all fall, we don't all use, but we all do fall. And I do have people that I can call today and be like, I'm just having a terrible day, or I have outside issues that I take care of. And a sound life is mind, body, and spirit. All of those have to be in balance. I have to take care of my physical health, I have to take care of my mental health, and I have to take care of my spirit, because when my spirit is broken is when I'm more prone to using, and that's when I hit the exit button. And if I don't keep my spiritual health in check, then everything else goes out the window really fast. And I started running on self-will, and I stopped doing the things that keep me sober and keep me a good mom and a healthy person and a good wife. Like, all of those things matter. I'm still sober today, mostly because of a resentment that I had. And somebody said, when I said I was sober, they were like, well, we'll see how long this time. And I took that as a challenge, and I keep that in the forefront. But I do have days where I slip and I don't want to get out of bed and I don't want to go to a meeting. But those are the times that I need to get out of bed and I need to go to a meeting. And, I look forward to going to church and seeing our fellowship there. And I look forward to going to meetings and seeing people. And I love having a sponsor that checks me and was like, we haven't met this week. When are you coming over? And I make excuses sometimes, but then when I start making those excuses, I start seeing the flips. I start seeing the attitude come. I start seeing the depression come back in, or the anxiety flaring up. You can't take care of a spiritual problem with a chemical solution.
Mm.
In order to feed my spirit, I have to do spiritual things that work for me, because what works for me might not work for you. But for me, it's going to church, it's talking to my pastor, it's going to meetings, it's getting in my AA book, it's reading my daily reflections or my meditation book, and it's sitting in silence to bring my mind down to where I can connect with my higher power. Because if I have all this noise going around me on the outside and I can't sit still long enough to hear what he's trying to say to me, then I'm not going to follow his will. I'm not going to follow his direction. It's important to build a relationship with the God of your understanding, or a power that's greater than you, whatever that looks like. And you have to build a relationship. And how do you build a relationship? You have conversation, you make time, right? There was a little skit that somebody did in our church where he's just pulling God around, and I used to do that. But today I can take time out of my day and I can say, thank you, God, for this, and thank you, God, for that. And what are you trying to teach me today? If I'm open-minded about it and not in self. And so that's why it's very important every single day that you do something for your spirituality and you build that relationship with your higher power. Step 2 says we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. I have to come to believe, but I also have to put that action in. The 3 pertinent ideas say that we're alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. I know for sure that I cannot manage my own life, and that's why I have people to hold me accountable. That's why I have different fellowships that I belong to and different things that I'm a part of. That probably no human power could have relieved my alcoholism. Like, as much as I love my kids, I couldn't stay sober for them. I had to do it for me,
Yeah.
and it was through divine interference that happened. And that God could and would if he were sought. Like, I have to seek him when the Bible says, if you believe, like that's the biggest part of it. If you believe, when you knock, he will answer, but you have to believe. And that is just taking acknowledgement that this is true to me. I wrote down the definition of belief the other day. Basically, it's just accepting what is true for what works for you, right? Just
Mm.
because you believe something doesn't mean that I have to believe it, or vice versa. And that's why it's a God of your own understanding, because there's different religions out here, but they all have one thing in common, and that's a power that's greater than ourself. Right. And so you build that relationship with that higher power. And that was one of the turning points in my recovery, is when they said a God of your understanding, because I always tried to believe what my mom believed, or I tried to believe the Catholic religion that some of my family believed, but I never understood. And once I started developing my own concept and my own beliefs, my whole life changed, just like what I read earlier. My life changed profoundly when I started doing these simple things and following these simple suggestions and into my own belief.
So I think today too is just a reminder for those, if you do relapse, you can make it,
You
right?
can come back,
Can come back.
pick up the phone and call somebody.
Call and let somebody know, like, here comes the humility part of it. Like, hey man, I messed up. I need help. I don't want to go to the bitter end. But the thing I realized is my bottom was only when I stopped digging. Like, I don't know what rock bottom is. It's only when I stopped digging. And I'm grateful to be able to kind of have Greg on here to be living proof, y'all, that if you do slip, it's part of it, right? Like, not that it's supposed to happen, but this is why the strength of the program and the fellowship and sponsorship and friends and family and Christianity and church and just belief and God, everything and all, right? So if it does happen, right, you can pick the phone up and say, I made a bad choice and here I am. Like, I need help, right? Um,
Don't be afraid.
yeah. So, if there's anything at all, Greg, that you can just share with somebody listening that may be in the same situation, what would it be?
Just pick up a phone and call somebody. Don't be ashamed. Don't let shame, guilt, or remorse keep you out there. Because I might not make it back. Just be strong, man, and call somebody.
Drugs and alcohol will kill you, but you don't have to let pride kill you.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's just good. It's good with it.
Pride comes before the fall.
Oh, that's right. Well, I just wanted to. I'm going to get together and get some out to you guys. We're gonna start kind of getting back consistent and dropping these once a week and getting some people together, or just Nikki and I, just kind of get together and just talk on here. Thank you guys for joining the reality of Russ. Thank you guys for being a part of this. I'm glad you guys get to meet Craig and see my beautiful wife again. And we'll hope to see you guys soon. Talk to you later. Love y'all.
Oh, yeah.